So.
Talking about the Cubs, I heard on the radio today that I know for a while they've been up for sale, but they got like 7
bidders. I saw that on the news last night, and one of them is Cuban.
Yeah, Mark Cuban, the guy from Dallas Mavericks.
Right. He's one of the 7 that's bidding to buy the whole. He'd be buying the baseball and Wrigley Field. So it's being sold in a package.
Well, Cuban, maybe he'll have enough guts or enough forte or expertise to refurbish that pit.
Well, whoever is going to buy it, I think they're going to spend a few $1 million on fixing that up.
A few million. I'm sorry, Cub fans out there, but that ballpark is just
right.
Besides the field's nice, the grass, the ivy, it's beautiful, but the rest of it,
right?
They got like I don't want to say screens, but they got bags or whatever to catch the falling concrete.
Right.
Nets, I guess, should I say. They got nets set up around. I mean, that.
Right.
It's unbelievable. So what they really need to do is they need to move over to Sox Park for 2 years, and they need to refurbish that like we did at Lambeau Field.
Right. They tear it all down and rebuild, but then they don't have much room for expansion because there's streets all around that park. On 4 sides, you got streets that maybe they'd have to buy up some land.
Well, yeah, not being a major Cub fan, I still would hate to see that move though, because that's just
right. Yeah.
When I spend my time in Chicago, that is a neat place over there, and standing on Waveland Avenue and catch the balls or whatever.
Yeah, right on.
But so things are brewing up there now.
So what's going on in Madison?
Madison, it's Maxwell Street days today.
Okay.
Well, it was Friday, Saturday, and today. And they finally got that street done. Well, at least they got the cement down on the street so you can walk on State Street again.
Okay.
Because it was blocked off all the way from Library Mall down to Gilman. But now it's finally open.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're all setting up right now, and the station's got a tent out there, and they got discs for sale and some water and some WSUM T-shirts. Everybody needs one of them.
Okay, sure.
So helps the station, funding and stuff. So that's kind of what's going on in Madison.
Right. Well, good. I hope it turns out good for them. You talk about the Packers. I'm looking at the paper, the article from last night, and there's nothing in the paper about the controversy with Brett. There was no.
Oh, they were all good buddies up there.
Right. But the interesting part of it was that he received what's the award? The ESPY award that he wasn't aware he was getting because of the records that he set last year. Oh, he received the 2007 Miller MVP award. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
For the touchdowns and passing yard completion. And then he was very grateful and so forth. But what he wanted to do, but he forgot, was to thank the team members because he wanted to be grateful for the players that were playing on the team to help him. And it says, Barb apologized for going to the ESPY Awards earlier in the week and forgetting to thank his teammates. He thought about all these things I wanted to say, but the most important I wanted to say, I did say it all. It was, I was reminded of that as soon as he sat down next to his wife, Deanna. So that was at the ESPY Awards when that took place.
Oh, I see.
He was grateful for it, but he forgot to thank the teammates. I thought that was humble of him to admit it.
Can you hear that music in the background?
Yes.
That's kind of the way that you described all that, because what that is, that's the theme from All My Children, which is a soap opera.
Okay.
And when we're going to talk about Brett Favre out here, we're going to play soap opera music, because that's what that really is up there, is a soap opera. It's a soap opera. There, yeah. As Brett Favre turns,
Okay, as the world turns.
As the guiding light, or,
Okay. That's cute.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that fired up for the last 2 weeks, so I'm excited I got it to work. So
okay. Well, anyway, I hope they get that resolved, and I have a hunch maybe Brett will be back. Well,
talking about who was at that Hall of Fame ceremony last night, the first person the two people that I noticed right away was Bart Starr and Ron Wolf.
Yeah.
Now,
they were there.
Both of them guys. I mean,
right.
Pull him aside. And, Ron Wolf, Ted Thompson was his protege, or whatever you want to call that, his mentor. And now that Ron Wolf, I guess, has got a house in Green Bay.
Right. He bought a house in Green Bay, right.
And don't kid yourself, Thompson and McCarthy, they're getting lots of advice on this.
I would think so, right.
From Harland and the president and Mark Murphy and everybody. But why don't they just get together and just, this is like a bad marriage, a bad relationship is what's really going on here.
Yeah. Well, the other big event coming up is the stockholder meeting this week. So I think there's going to be some movement of some kind that's going to take place. I don't know what, but I can't see the stockholders letting this thing slip through their fingers.
Well, speaking of that, I found out that, I know some friends that got stockholders, they're able to go, but you had to reply to an invite from the Packers a month or two ago.
If you're going to be there.
If you're going to be there. So anybody out there that's got stock and think you're going to go, well, they probably already know this because if they're a stockholder, but if they are, they think they're going to just show up next Wednesday and, I want to be. If you don't have a ticket or reply, you can't get in.
Right, you got to have a ticket like going to the football game. You got to have a ticket to get in.
They might, I don't know. You never know. They might change the policy on that this week.
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a number of people out in the parking lot with, like the picketing, demonstrating. But they won't be able to get into the stockholder meeting.
Well, I don't know. They might let them in. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of that, there's a rally going on right now as we speak, it starts at 10 o'clock, actually, up at Lambeau Field.
Okay.
These two brothers in Pewaukee started this website, Bring Back Brett Favre, and they had a rally last Sunday in Green Bay, and 100 people, I guess, showed up, but short notice, and then they did it in Milwaukee area, and not too big attendance there, but they've been PRing it, and today, supposedly, they got things going early.
Okay, yeah.
And it'll be interesting.
With that banquet last night, there's a lot of people in town. That's good. And I'm sure on Thursday they're going to be, that's what I mean, there's going to be groups of people out in the parking lot with signs and willing to be interviewed, and all that kind of stuff will take place.
Yeah, but let's lead into something here on that. I'm going to play a clip. Did you watch some of the Fox interview with Brett Favre?
No.
On TV?
With Greta Van Susteren?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that.
There is now, there's a part 3 to it, and most of us didn't see that one because they had part 1 and part 2. Right,
and part 3, 3 nights in a row.
Did you see part 3 by chance?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to play that for my one listener out there. I'm going to play that right now.
You only got one?
Yeah, one, I think, yeah. But I actually did not hear this until I was prepping for the show last night. I read about it.
Okay.
I'm cheap. I ain't got no cable, so. Anyways, so I watched it online, and I want to play this because I totally disagree with Brett Favre when you hear this because he's an employee of this company. Yeah. And what he talked about Ted Thompson, and let me roll at this, and then we'll come on back.
Go on the record about his possible comeback, but you haven't seen anything yet. Was Brett Favre ever lied to by Packer management? Brett went on the record about his true relationship with Packers general manager Ted Thompson.
Ted and I thought, have always had a good relationship. We don't talk a whole lot. We don't go out and eat and shoot the bull. But on 3 different occasions, I don't want to say lied. I think that's kind of a harsh word, but I think untruth or whatever is better. When he first took over as a GM, I was wishy-washy on my decision, if that's what you want to call it.
Which is at what point?
He took over, 05 or somewhere? It was 3-4 years. After 17 years, they run together, Greta. But we had two of our guards, fine football players, Marco Rivera on the right, Mike Wall on the left, were both up for contract. We knew that going into the season that year. Ted takes over towards the latter part of the season. The season is over. I'm weighing my decision. Ted called me, hey, this is right after the season. I said, Ted, you got to re-sign my lineman. As a quarterback, that's important to you. I said, you got to, at least one of them. Okay, I'll do that. So when I decided to come back, the following day, both guys signed elsewhere. Okay, no big deal. I mean, it was a big deal, but, So the next year, Mike Sherman is let go. And I said, Ted, will you do me a favor? And Steve Mariucci had been released probably 4 weeks previous with a few games left in the season. Close friend of mine. Everyone knows that. And he and I had talked occasionally, and I said, hey, how is it, He said, I have to admit, I get times, have time to spend with my kids. I got 4 kids, and, I miss it, but, a lot of small talk. And so when our season is over and we don't have a coach, I said, Ted, will you do me a favor? Would you interview Steve Mariucci? Not would you sign him, or I'm not coming back. I said, would you interview him? And his exact words to me were, from what I understand, he doesn't want to coach again right now. And I said, that's true. But I talked to him 2 days ago, a day ago, whatever. And I said, would you be interested in coaching in Green Bay? And he's from Iron Mountain, Michigan, hour and a half north. And he said, that's always been a dream job. Sure, I would. So I tell Ted that. And he says, okay. So I go home, and I'm down here. Next thing I know, Mike McCarthy's hired as the head coach, which, so what? He may do a fine job, whatever, no problem. And I thought, that's a little odd. So I called Steve. I said, how did the interview go? What interview? He said, there was no interview. I said, did Ted talk to you? He said, yeah. He said, a couple of days after McCarthy was hired, he called me and just wanted to know if everything was okay, how you doing, and all that stuff. And I thought, okay. So that's 2. The third one that just...
Okay, let me stop it right there.
Well...
He's right? He's holding grudges. It's like me going into the,
I don't think so. He was just, like, helping, giving suggestions to his boss.
But he can't hold that all this time back because Ted Thompson didn't take his advice, and Ted Thompson's got a job too. I'm just saying, I just think this whole thing in his mind has just been festering too long.
Oh, true, right? Yeah, he's got to move on, and maybe this is the time it will happen. Something, I don't know what.
Well, it's almost like he's just got to let it go.
Right. He's got to move on.
He's in the past now. As far as talking about Rivera and Wall, Marco Rivera is not in the NFL anymore. He's hurt. He had a bad leg. Yeah. I think he only played 1 year with the Cowboys. And Wall, I do believe, made the Pro Bowl the next year, but I'm not sure where he is now either. But, those are decisions that he made too. And Mariucci, who would you rather have as the coach right now, McCarthy or Mariucci?
All right.
So I don't know. I just, when I heard that, he just got involved in something that, I'm not saying, they just need to talk this out.
Right.
Now, going back to the other person that was at the ceremony, Bart Starr, back with Vince Lombardi, it's almost like today's how society is, where you can kind of chime in too much, like they do with our president, But anyways, would Bart Starr be able to do that with Vince Lombardi?
No, nobody would.
No.
Right. And just not Vince Lombardi, but George Hallis and all the, Tom Landry, all the guys that were coaching. It was a different world at that time.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. Now with the Internet, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody writes a blog. Everybody writes an email. And everybody plays coach.
Right, yep.
And everybody talks on the radio. But,
So that, it makes it hard for management, too, to work through all of that.
Right, because back in the 60s, before they even had agents, it was Jim Ringo. He was one of the Packers centers. I think it was in 61 or 62.
Right.
One of the first years of the glory years of and he was going to hold out, or he didn't like the contract or something. And he was in a meeting with Vince Lombardi, and I think he said he was going to get an agent. Ringo was.
Okay.
And they didn't have agents back then. And Vince says, hold on a minute. He went in the other